So he went back and studied Vedanta for 3 years, came back, and soon after left for Coimbatore to serve his ailing mother, which he still does, and also serve his motherland. He does that through teaching of Vedanta and the teaching of Sanskrit to children. And he has a trust which is trying very hard to support his efforts on the ground. And that is a testimony to the fact that we at IHAR are as much on the ground as anyone else. And what he does in his private life is quite inspirational to us, that he has dedicated himself to serve the roots. And no better person to talk about engaging the youth in the civilizational narrative, which should not be left to people who have developed arthritis. Because having nothing better to do and engage in civilizational narrative is rather a sad story for our civilization, and our continuity can be maintained only by engaging our children. So Jayakumar, thank you for all you do, and it's a pleasure to meet you again, and of course welcome you. I'm looking forward to learning how you do what you do, and I hope that the others also enjoy listening to you. All yours.
Thank you very much, Subratoji. My good friend from many, at least 2 decades ago, probably from Houston. Never know I would start IHAR, and never know you would be in IHAR. Thank you all very much. And IHAR was not founded just so that I could call myself the founder, but for it to grow. And the growth is where Subrato comes in, and he's done wonders. And I think we all should give a big hand to Subrato. So we've heard today, I'm going to be here. I hope it's okay if I'm here. All right. You can hear me. Okay. See, because talking to children, youth, high school students and college students, I like to go around because they see somebody standing or sitting there, they all lose interest. Half the interest is already gone, and half was gone before they came. So I did not find that to be good. So I thought I'll at least move around a little bit. So we heard that, the IHAR conference, many of them quoted Mark Twain as having said that India is the cradle of human race. Okay? I think we are trying to learn that. I am assuming that's a true statement, and so let's understand that. That's why this IHAR conference is being conducted. But one thing is for sure, all of us began our lives in the cradle. Okay, that I think we're sure. And look at the irony here, okay? Comparing animals and human beings, okay? Just imagine, you've seen so many shows, Animal Planet, National Geographic and all that, okay? Imagine a deer giving birth to a baby. First of all of you guys can relax. I'm not going to show any videos. I'm not going to show any tables of data. I'm not talking about human migrations, nothing. Just ourselves, okay? So relax, close your notebooks, okay? Imagine this deer giving birth to a baby in any place like Serengeti in Africa, okay? And it's the middle of the day. This deer is... Okay, now there are lions, there are tigers, there are cheetahs in this Serengeti, okay? Now, any moment, anything can happen. These lions can sense order from miles away, okay? So what is the defense mechanism for this deer? First of all, they gather in tens of thousands if not tens of thousands, okay? Now, the lion can easily pounce on any of them, and 10,000 deer is no threat to a lion. But psychologically, the lion thinks that, it's still hiding under the thing. The lion doesn't have to hide at all, but psychologically, it's defense number one for the deer. Number two, they gather at the same time. This birthing season happens. So the seasons are important for the deer because everybody gives birth at the same time. Therefore, they gather together. So, defense mechanism number two. Number three, okay, middle of the day, it's 45 Celsius or whatever it is, 50 Celsius, we don't know. It's searing hot. Okay, defense mechanism number 3. The lion or the cheetah is not interested in a meal right now. Maybe a bit later, few hours later, okay, 6 o'clock, but not in the middle of the day. That is defense number 3. Now, look at this. This baby drops from the mother, okay, it drops down like that. You've seen this. The same way the calf drops from the womb of the cow, okay, and immediately the deer will start licking the baby. Why? Because the odor should not travel, right? So prevent the odor. And then immediately it starts kicking the baby. Can you imagine a human parents kicking the baby, a human baby? Not possible. Okay, that's human, right? Not possible. But here, baby is being kicked. Why? Why are you kicking the baby? Well, in the next 10 minutes, this baby has to stand up. 10 minutes only given for standing up. Okay? Another 10 more minutes, it has to run. It has to walk. Excuse me. Another 10 minutes, it has to be ready to run. 30 minutes, my dear friends, is all this dear baby has to run for its life. Now come to the human being, right? 30 minutes, 30 years, this guy goes to college and he still says, Mom, I hate the food. I'm going to come home this weekend. Please make me your dal bath and your kada kadi, whatever, and bisi bele bath. I want to taste it. That's when the mom has the last laugh, Finally, this guy is appreciating my food, right? So this is the difference, okay? And we say the first 15, 20 years are the formative years of the child. Okay? That's very important, at least for people who are educators. How many of you are educators? Means in schools, colleges? Yeah, there is one there. Okay, there's half of you, good half of you are educators, okay? So this is not new to you in the sense, of course, how many of you are parents with children? Almost everybody are parents with children, okay? And that's enough. You don't have to be in a school or a college. And you're constantly trying to communicate to your children. Communication doesn't work at all. It just bounces back, doesn't it? It bounces back. And how many of you felt like, hey, this textbooks in schools and colleges, they're doing more damage than good. Did you all feel like that? How many of you felt like that? Yeah, again, most of you. Folks, the focus of my presentation today is how do you engage youth? Let's say high school students and college students. Suppose you are invited by your local university or a high school and you're asked to spend 1 hour there. And suppose I tell you, this is your first invitation and it's going to be your last invitation. That's the way I look at it. When somebody invites me, I say, this is going to be my last. This 1 hour is all I have. When the students leave the room, what are they going to think? My God, it's a waste of time, or my God, I didn't know any of this. Wasn't it inspiring? That's the difference. So let's see. I want to show you what I do in some of these places where I go to. Okay, and so it's a casual presentation. Okay, I show them a slide like this, and I ask them, what is this? Pretty much everybody's raising their hands, they're saying Pythagoras theorem. Everybody knows it. Okay. Then I say, who invented Pythagoras theorem? And they're all laughing or they're all giggling because who else could have invented Pythagoras theorem, right? Pythagoras must have invented Pythagoras theorem. Excellent. Give Akshaya a very big hand, okay? So everybody gives a big hand. Then I say, here, let's look at Pythagoras. Then they're all confused because in their mind they know Pythagoras is not an Indian. This man with a beard and all this mala and half naked cannot be Pythagoras. This looks like an Indian. Okay, we have a discussion around that. Okay, then I show, okay, let's really look at who Pythagoras is. Okay, this is Pythagoras. Can you all hear me at the back? Yeah. So, and then Pythagoras lived some 600 plus 2500 plus years ago. This is, how do you even imagine this kind of time? 2500 years ago, right? And so this is Pythagoras. Then I tell them, this person, Pythagoras visited India. Okay, I think it's proven. Some of our historians can validate that. Is it proven? Pythagoras visited India. Okay, he did visit India, and then he studied under Baudhayana. Okay, studied under Baudhayana. Not Baudhayana, studied under rishis, and one of the things he studied is this shloka. So I make them repeat this, Dirghas, Chaturashra, etc. I repeat this. This shloka is essentially saying that a square plus b square is equal to c square. And Pythagoras studied it along with all the philosophies and all that. He went back to Greece and then he started a Gurukulam like thing because he loved the setting, and he had his students, and he became a vegetarian, okay, and they called him a madcap because vegetarian, I suppose in Greece was not that common, and so on and so forth. And so then I asked them, then I tell them, you know what, Dr. Raj Vedam postulates that Pythagoras may have visited Kanchipuram. I live in Coimbatore, okay. So I tell them, do you know where Kanchipuram is? Yeah, Kanchipuram, I know, it's between Coimbatore and Chennai, you know, somewhere, and we know that. He came to Kanchipuram. Can you believe this? Suppose your textbooks had told you that Pythagoras visited Kanchipuram, would that inspire you? Would that? Then everybody raises hand. Yes, yes, we would love that, and etc. Okay. So I sometimes use this example. You can't say this to young children, obviously. They need to know a little bit of mathematics for this. So here's an example, right, about Pythagoras. So what about the takeaways from here? The students know the theorem. So I make the students tell what it is. I don't tell them what, I didn't say Pythagoras theorem. They said Pythagoras theorem. So make it come out of the students and then try to tell a story, okay. If I knew more details about Pythagoras, I would have said that. And Pythagoras, of course, should be well known to all students, and all students do know the Pythagoras, okay. All right. How many of you have seen this or this or this or this? Okay. All right. So I show pictures like this. In Tamil Nadu, among 100 students, at least 15 of them will raise their hands, because this is a story. I'm going to tell you the story since none of you. How many of you heard of Manu Nidhi Shoyan? You've not heard of it. So he was a king some 2,250 years ago, okay. And one day, so what his rule was, he was a just ruler and his justice was very well known, and so he kept a bell like this. There is a bell out there, okay. This is a bell, okay, in the quadrangle. So let's go back. This is the bell right there, okay. This is artwork done by somebody, and in the middle of the night, the sounds were heard, the bell sounds were heard, okay. And then the king sent his message people and said, what happened? And then they said, there is a cow asking for justice. And what justice does a cow want? And the cow says, you know what, your prince rode the chariot and rode over my calf, and the calf died because of that. That was the complaint of the cow, and I need justice, okay. This is again outside Thiruvarur, okay, near Tanjavur, okay, Tanjore of Tamil Nadu. There is this sculpture right outside Tyagaraja Swami temple, huge temple, Tyagaraja Swami temple, Thiruvarur. Anybody? Yeah, we recognize these names, right? So right outside you find this chariot, okay, and somewhere here at the right there, you can't see it here, but here under the wheel there is that cow. There is not the cow, I'm sorry. Who is this? Not the calf. Look at who is sitting there. This is not the prince. This is the king. Manu Nidhi Shoyan said, I want to experience the sadness that this cow is experiencing. Therefore, get my son and put him under the wheel. I'm going to go over that wheel. That's what this guy did, this king did, okay. Manu Nidhi Shoyan, many people in Tamil Nadu know this, okay. And some of the students will say, yeah, I've seen this, you know, I know this, etc. they say. So it's a very inspiring story, but sometimes the books will not say this. And then I tell them, guys, this is Manu Nidhi Shoyan. Look at this. There is the cow asking for justice, okay, ringing the bell, and here is the prince. Without a head here, but I don't know if that's original or not, okay. This statue is there in Madras High Court. That means what? Their ideals were, we should provide justice like the way Manu, Nidhi, Shoyan provided justice. Okay. So, very inspiring story, and I mean, I didn't know, I grew up in Hyderabad, okay. I didn't learn any of these things, okay. And so, even Tamil I did not know properly. And so, but very inspiring stories. So, one of the things I always do is, you have to connect to the local people's history, regional history. I can't go in Tamil Nadu, I can't sit and talk about Ahom dynasty and some Assamese kings like our Rudra Singha, and how Rudra Singha took the Assamese culture to zenith those days, okay, so many 1,000+ years ago. That won't ring a bell to these kids. They have to learn about what they see, okay. So that's one. Another example I sometimes give is this, okay. I ask them what this is, and everybody knows the answer. So we are all very good about Wright brothers and all that. And this is Wright brothers, we know. But then I tell them, did anybody know that India was #1 in shipbuilding technology long ago? Okay. I get blank stares when I say that. Okay. And so this shipbuilding story, the more I study, it's just awe-inspiring, and it's also very sad. Okay. Because our Indians, see, one of my classmates, he studied naval architecture, okay. I'm a chemical engineer, okay, and he studied naval architecture. Recently, I connected with him, and I asked him about this shipbuilding, and they say all these things. When you studied naval architecture, did they teach you all these things about India's greatness? Said, no, not that much. We hear a little bit, but not that much. And he told me something. When he was in college, so 1982-83, he visited Kerala. If you go to Kerala on the western coast, Kozhikode, you will find people still building ships by hand, okay, like this. They don't use any machines. He told me, Shyam told me that, how much time do I have? I have to leave. Okay. First, I want to thank Subrato for one more thing, which is that I have a flight to catch. I take care of my senior parents, and so I generally don't leave home at all. And so I just flew down yesterday and I'm leaving today. So he just pushed the panel discussion to later this afternoon, and for my sake, thank you, Subrato. So this is shipbuilding, okay? And he told me that they were making ships. He actually went to Kerala, Kozhikode, watched all these people making ships. They were making ships by hand, okay? So they were smoking the wood, and you've got the hull, wood of the hull, etc. Many pieces are there, and they were smoking it. They were bending it. Many people would do this, and then they were curing it by putting it on fire, and they saw all these things. He saw all these things, and then he said that after the ship was made, this was a vessel. Vessel is a large boat, okay, and it's like 100-passenger vessel, okay. Then this man, the main person, comes when the hull is ready, ship is ready, and then he draws outside of the ship vessel. He takes a white chalk and draws a line around the vessel, okay, goes all the way, and then he offers a prayer. And then they lower a Kirloskar engine in the middle of the ship or wherever it has to go. And then this vessel sinks because of the weight of the generator, weight of the engine. And then it sinks exactly till the level of the white chalk that he has drawn, okay. That means what? For the safety of the ship, this is how far it can go. If it goes beyond this, we need to do something else. That's the meaning. That's what in his mind, I think, right? And he says, Jayakumar, these people, different people, one person is doing this side of the hull, another department is doing that hull, another department is doing the front of the ship, another department doing back of the ship and the middle of the ship and so forth. These people have no diagrams. How many of you have done engineering drawing? There you go. Half this group has done engineering drawing. No, remember all those T square and all we had? Yeah, mini drafter. Yeah, there you go, mini drafter. And we did all that. He said, Jayakumar, there's no drawing at all. Huh? No drawing, and then they all come together and these parts magically fit together. And they have a type of measurement, and it's a modular measurement system, and they're just talking some language you can't even understand. And this is a ship. And then, anyway, I tell the story to the kids, and then I'll first show you this one. Okay. Last year, 2021, our Indian government gave Padma Shri to Ali Manik Khan, one of the last living shipbuilders of India. Isn't that sad? Huh? Last living shipbuilders. This man, he's from this one, Lakshadweep, okay, it says here Lakshadweep, but he also lives in Kerala. And when he got the award, the people, neighbors around him didn't know that he was a shipbuilder. I said, really? And he's known for so many things. Because of his life in the seas, he's invented many species of fish, excuse me, and some species are named after him also. Okay. So this is Ali Manik Khan, and in 1981, a Swedish explorer called Tim Severin, okay, you can Google that, Tim Severin came to Ali and then asked him to make a ship that Sinbad the sailor, how many of you have heard of Sinbad the sailor? Okay, we all heard of him, took in his voyages, okay, and this is the ship that Ali Manik Khan made, okay, by hand again, okay. So do your books talk about this? No. Would you be proud if your books talked about this? Yes, okay. So, so that was that, and I take this opportunity sometimes to tell them about Sanskrit English connections, you know. What is the name for Amma in English? Mother. Mother in Sanskrit is Matar. Okay. What about Tambi, brother? Okay. What is the Sanskrit name for brother is Bratar. Okay. Sister, Swasar. Daughter, Duhitar. Can you see the connection? Daughter, Duhitar, the letters are also identical. So anyway, sometimes I do that. Okay, so I'll finish shortly, and so, you know, some personal anecdotes, and tell them that technology does not necessarily mean machines and electricity and metallic devices, you know, those kinds of things. Okay, Velu Nachiyar, I'll skip this. See, this is a very inspiring story of this lady who fought the British. And then talking about pi, sometimes to college students, they like pi because I rely on things that they already know. That's my way of, my entry to their world, okay? And so I ask them, what is this? Everybody says pi, 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 okay? Then I show them this, okay? So my brother is smiling, okay? Why how many Tamilians are here? Nobody, Tamilians are not there, okay? Only two of us then, all right. So in Tamil, pi means bag. So here, this is pi, is this pi? I asked them, okay? No, that's not that pi, okay, not bag, then what is pi? Pi is 3.14, oh, okay, 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 3.1415, okay, that's pi. All right, how did you get the value of pi? Who calculated it? My teacher told me, is that the answer? 22/7, sir, okay. Who came up with 22/7? That also is an approximation. What is the exact number for pi? Who came up with all this? All right, then I teach them, college students, okay. I told them, I said, you take the number 1, subtract -1/3, +1/5, -1/7, +1/9, next, -1/11, +1/13, they catch on to it. I keep make them repeat this. If you do all this, you will get the number which is pi divided by 4. So who came up with this crazy series, okay? This is called, ladies and gentlemen, Leibniz formula. Okay, I studied this when I went to college, I think. And so Leibniz formula in the 17th century, okay? Now, in Tamil Nadu, education is not good. I looked at the reports, education reports of India. Mizoram and Manipur are number one, okay? And this Pratham did a survey of rural education. Mizoram and Manipur and Haryana and Punjab, they are on top. Tamil Nadu is average. And so in Tamil Nadu, I don't take anything for granted when I go to these audiences. I try my best to make sure every word I say they understand. I ask them, what is century? 100 years. Okay, 17th century means what? I look for people. What is 17th century? Then some blank stares. Okay, what century are we living in? Okay, what century are we living in? And the 22nd, 21st century, 20th century. Okay, so I showed them. I said, okay, let's ask Google what century we live in. Okay. Hey Google, what century are we living in? Let me check. Got it. Our current year is 2022. Therefore, we are in the 22nd century. Okay. So I need to get some response, right? So I have to do all these gimmicks, and so finally we end up that we are in the 21st century, and then I say, look at this. This is Madhava, okay? This is Madhava from Thrissur. Thrissur is just 1.5 hours from Coimbatore. So if I'm giving a lecture in Coimbatore, I want them to know that there was a Madhava who lived in Thrissur in the 14th century, okay, and famous Kerala school of astronomy and mathematics, which does not exist today, okay, and he's the one who invented this series. So I asked the children, hey, so would you, if you were the director of education of India, okay, you were heading NCERT or something, what would you call this formula? We'll call it Madhava formula. Yeah, so you guys should change your textbooks, okay? So anyway, I have many examples like this. And so one of the things I do at the end is always invite questions. And the last, I was in Amilashi Lingam University about a month ago. And these students, believe it or not, they asked me questions for 1 hour. One girl asked me, after all this discussion, she said, what would have happened if the British had not colonized India? It's tough to answer that because you have to speculate, you know. And so I was very happy when they asked that. Now this is it's a long answer. I mean, I had to paint a picture of what could have happened, right? We wouldn't be as confused as we are today. Our textbooks would be better. You know, I said all those things. Yeah, I'm going to join. Okay, this is a classroom, okay, in USA, where I studied at Purdue University. When I was finishing my PhD, I was ready to get a job in a university, okay? And so, but there was a course before that called Presentation Skills. So it was a 6-week course, and they gave us a homework. The homework is, they gave a list of courses and which departments they are in, and which professor is teaching, and what's the room number, and what day, okay? You can pick any of the courses, go attend that class, 1 hour class, come back and report what you found. And I looked at the course. See, Purdue University, 35,000 students those days. Today is 41,000. So you've got 2,500 acres. Buildings are strewn all over. So I had to look. I picked the history course. So I had to look for the history department. I walked all the way there, and then I find a hall like this. I thought I was in the wrong place first. I said, what is a sea of people? And then I asked somebody, they said, yeah, this is the right place. So I sat somewhere, and then the professor comes, history, okay, this is the history of America he's teaching. And this man, I tell you, he comes, he talks about how the British came, you know, from Europe, they came to the east coast of America and all that. And he walks from this end of the hall to that end. He says, then there was a march, there was a gold rush in California, and then he goes this way, he jumps all over the place. I'm telling you that 1 hour, nobody would have slept in the class. When I came out of this class, I said, my goodness, how many years of life I lost? How many years of education I lost because I had to sleep through so many classes. This man woke me up that day. I said, my goodness, education is something very different. And so, last point, and I'll leave after this. There is an organization called American Textbook Council, okay, in America, and they're an independent organization. They review social studies textbooks, okay, in America, and then submit their reports to whoever wants to know, primarily government, okay. Government pays attention to this council. You know what they say? Okay, I don't expect you to read this, but he says the case for relative stress on Western history. They're saying you have to highlight Western history because it's rooted in Judeo-Christian, Greco-Roman, and Anglo-European ethos. Okay, it's very important for Americans to get that background, and therefore Western history is very important. And what happens if you don't do that? Multicultural imagination means this multiculturalism that you guys are talking about, and you must know all world cultures. It has not resulted in better history. Rather, it often gives students a selective, puzzling, implausible, and false view of the US and the world. Can you believe this? What we are saying, you give up your dharma, you give up your history, and then you go after what all the rest of the world is doing. That's what we've done in the last so many decades. These guys are saying exactly the opposite. And he says if that happens, these children will embrace globalist fantasies and illusions, and it's going to be a national security issue. They're saying if you don't train your children, if you don't train our children on our history, the country will be weak. That's what they're saying. Can you believe this? Look at the way they thought through all these things, and how many think tanks working on this, and the government is paying attention to this. Therefore, you've got all this Columbus discovers America, etc. Okay, that's a false statement. That's a different story. But you've got that. When I looked at the history textbooks some 15 years ago, I was in for a shock. I said, my God, this book is actually inspiring. I never looked at a history book and said it's inspiring, but that book was inspiring. So with that, friends, I want to conclude, and this file is actually available on the internet. I checked a couple of weeks ago, and I thank you all for your time, and thanks to IHAR and the team for inviting me here today. Thank you all very much.